Invocation, followed by flag salute.
Father in heaven, bless all of us here today as we come to take care of county business. And bless our leaders and bless all those who come here today. Lord, this morning when I was drinking my coffee and watching the town come awake, it reminded me of what a tremendous community effort it is to make this city and this county function. It takes every one of us working together to make this work. And it does, and it's amazing to see how it does. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to live here and to be part of this amazing process. Lord, keep us mindful of the folks who get out and do the work for us. Our city and county and state people that clear our roads and do every other thing that's necessary to make it work. The ladies that work in the courthouse, the police and the sheriff, and each and every one of us that contributes to making this a really wonderful place to live. Lord, we thank you for these blessings. We acknowledge, Lord, that you created it, and we acknowledge, Lord, that you are still in control of it. Thank you again, Lord, for the blessings, and I offer this prayer today in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, administrative business, Tina.
Okay. See if I can get up on I have the minutes of February 28th.
Okay. I was going to ask you, was Randy going to join us by phone?
No, he's not able to.
Okay.
He may try to join in later. If he can, he'll call.
Okay. I've got time to review the February 28th minutes, and I'll make a motion to approve as written.
I'll second him.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Maybe we have some change orders.
Morning. How are you?
Cold. Extremely cold.
All right, Tracy.
Okay, that was for the area transport fuel bid. That's service, 14,318.07.
Thank you. In your packet, you did have information about the Kansas County Commissioners' annual conference. So be thinking about that and, see who all wants to go and get that registration done.
I do want to go, but I won't have a motel. I'll just drive every time I go. So you can sign me up whenever you get a chance.
Okay?
I don't think I'll need a motel, because I'll probably be there for one day.
Okay.
And do they have a, where you pay for the whole thing, or do they have the daily thing?
I'll
Because I
have to
can-
look.
Okay, I do plan to go all 3 of those days if it's 3, but, okay, I didn't know.
They just sent this out and I haven't really looked into it yet as far as the cost or anything, so. Okay. We do have a letter of support in your packets for the, Restoration Center.
What we talked about last week, a letter in support of the Restoration Center so they can solicit funding. I believe it's well written.
So are you ready to sign?
Yes.
Okay. And the salary sheet, just establishing the wage of the county attorney, and it's the
Okay.
same amount as what the previous county attorney
This
was.
is the salary sheet, setting the salary for Joel Lindsay, new county attorney, starting at $45.89 per month.
Okay, and I do have a deed for the Main Street building, or the Valon building, that Brad has prepared. And just like with the deed you did the last time, we just need a motion and a vote to authorize the chairperson to sign.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I'll second that. Motion and second to sign the deed over to the Marion Land Bank on the Boron.
This is for Marion Advancement Campaign.
Marion Advancement Campaign on the Boron building.
Okay, so motion and second.
Yep, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. In your packet, I just had the final draft for the engineer job description. Diane had contacted the office with some changes, so the final is what I handed you this morning.
Looks good to me.
I'll concede.
Do we need a motion to accept the description?
I think it'd be great to do a motion of vote to approve the job description.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the description for the county engineer.
I'll second it.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
When can we expect it to be advertised?
Well, that was what I was gonna ask you about next. So you just wanna do the website only, or do you want to take advantage of the newspaper advertising, that I told you about a few weeks ago? There's one where you can do an ad in like 140 newspapers in the state, and it's right around $900 to do that. Now, that does not include Wichita Eagle.
Yeah. Well, I
So
think-
that would be separate if you decided to do that. But otherwise,
Well, we need exposure, there's no doubt about that.
Yes, we certainly do. I also think that we need to put it on, I don't know what Indeed costs, and also, and I think it's KSAL JobWorks. I was gonna get that for you 100 times.
we will put it
I
out
didn't.
on Indeed and put that link on our website. If you want me to do it as a sponsored position, then there is a cost. So I don't know what the cost is. We usually don't do them as sponsored, but we could on this.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think the cost is very much.
And then how long do we run that till it's filled, or
Uh,
a certain period of time normally, or?
What I would probably do is run it well, do you want to run it for 2 weeks in the newspaper and then just have it online until we fill it and then take it down?
How often in the newspaper, is that just once a week?
Well, it depends on the newspaper. Some of them are weekly, some of them are more often.
Okay. And
I
that's
guess we
900
can see what kind of response we get.
Is the $900 for 2 weeks?
No, it's for a week.
For 1 week?
Mhm.
Okay.
And that, again, does not include the Wichita Eagle. And if we advertise with KAC, they charge you. Which, I mean, that doesn't mean we can't do that, but I was gonna go straight for the professional organizations.
Yeah, I was gonna
the
say
engineering,
that engineering
listservs.
organizations
Yes.
get the information.
Yes, that too, yes. Yeah, I think we should do it everywhere, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to specify 1 or 2 weeks on that ad, the newspaper ad?
I think we probably better go 2 weeks.
I think so
Okay.
too, at least, to start, and
Hate to
maybe see if
spend
we
that
have
much
any.
money, but we have to get exposure.
Okay.
Nothing spent, nothing gained.
All right. That was all I had
Okay.
for admin.
I have a question or two for you, Tina, while we're still in administrative, if that's okay. Can you give us an update on the transportation? I know your department is gonna take that over, or was gonna check into, remember I gave you
Yeah.
on that, have you been working on it at all?
I have. I put it aside for a little bit because I've been working on this engineering stuff and
Sure.
quite a few other things. But I've got a folder started where I've got some information.
Okay.
There were some other things I wanted to research as far as the counties that have it, what their budget is, what, how much it's costing them, and how they're doing it. So,
Okay, and I know it was interesting because even here in the Kansas County Living magazine this month, the new governor is proposing that in rural areas, that's one of her priorities is to increase public.
good. Maybe she'll get more,
She
maybe
does.
she'll
She says
provide
she
more
does.
money.
But right
If
now,
she can get something through the legislature.
even
Yeah,
right
what-
now, they're giving 80%
Right.
on this
What
grant.
Michelle
so-
Garrett from Morris County, when I spoke with her about it, because she's running it in their county, she said that the paperwork on that is increasing all the time, and it's getting to be such a hassle. I don't know how much longer they're going to do it.
So the clerk's office handles
The
that?
clerk's office handles it there. I don't know that very many other counties do it the way they do it, but
Maybe there's more than one way.
yeah, exactly. And so I did reach out to all the county clerks in the state through our listserv. I did get some responses back. Most of them just do just for elderly. But there
Like
are
through
a
the
couple
aging department?
that
But
just
see-
do it they don't do it for everyone, but there are some that do, so.
That was
Anyway.
not that was not my goal because.
I
you
know, I know.
I want to do it for the sick people too, and all people that
You just
need.
want to do it for people that need transportation.
Yes,
So
that's
yes,
right.
I'm still actively working on
Okay.
that research.
Okay. And then on the inventory, I noticed that you still have me down for having the jetpack, and I had turned that into you.
Okay.
So that needs to be
It's in the
removed.
vault.
Okay.
It needs to, just the location will change.
Okay.
Uh,
That would be good, so the location is not with Donnie and Novak. Okay. And were you able to confirm what percentage increase our insurance will be?
No, I'm sorry. I haven't worked on that.
Yeah.
Sally's coming today to meet with me and go through some things, so.
Okay, so, because I was looking a little bit on the pay plan, and that's something to think about, so.
I'm pretty sure it was like a 3%, maybe? Isn't that what I said
3%?
before?
That's what I think you said before, but I find that so hard to believe. I mean, considering that he sat up here and said we're at 9%. I mean, that'd be great, but he said it was gonna be at least 9%.
Well, I
so-
figure any increase is not gonna be good, so we're looking at all options right
Right,
now,
it's
not
not
just
good.
Blue Cross.
Well, good,
But
right?
at least it's a smaller increase than maybe what we had expected.
Yeah, now, once I talk to Sally and she explains everything and we go through all the options, I would anticipate that maybe if I can get her on the agenda next week, that we can have that discussion next week.
Yeah, because I was, like I say, working on the pay plan and stuff and looking at our future expenses, I think that's important to know. Okay, that was my questions at this time.
Okay, you ready to move on? Corey Nelson. Corey, if you come up here and take that chair. Corey reached out to me last week. Corey's a local guy that is moving back to the area and wanting to build a new home on family land. And I'll just let you take it from there.
Okay, the address is 2498 170th. It's out there just east of the Marion County Lake. And there has been a homestead on it before. There's electric, there's water on it. And we're planning on building out there, and we're going through the steps of going with planning and zoning and getting everything spec'd out for lagoon and where we can build and all that. And with that saying, there's the quote from the county, Mr. Jesse Ham, for the road on a new build. Well, it's 170th. It's has been maintained. It has been a gravel road since my grandpa has owned it and everything. And they're stating that I have to, for the new build and zoning, that the superintendent has to go out there and look at the property access and everything. It has a culvert and everything, and it's a residence, so what I'm getting at is that Jesse gave me a quote of $10,000 to rock it from Dick McClendon's down to my corner. And I mean, it's a county road that should be maintained and everything, and with it being an address before, I don't think I fall in the criteria of a full-fledged build permit. And I mean, with the traffic that goes up and down it now, and if it was rocked to my corner, I have a little sketch here of like the bus route and everything that you can look at later. But what it is you come up to my corner, which is 170th and Xavier, and that's where they'd rock to. Well, there's still another quarter mile to Ince's, Jeff Ince, that's up over the hill, and it's never been rocked since I've known. And if you have that traffic from Ince's there, and Scott Peterson travels up and down that, and I spend $10,000 to rock to get access from 77, and they start driving from the other way, it's just going to, I mean, go back the way it was. And I think it needs to be at the county's expense, and it needs to be rocked all the way through, because on this diagram here, I don't know if you guys want to look at it, but it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's the bus route and how they have to go all the way around to pick up different kids because of that probably mile section there of not being gravel.
Mile section is what you have marked in pink.
Yeah.
And everything else is already gravel? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's just a short section in between there because nobody has lived there and it hasn't been maintained because of that.
That's always kind of stuns me a little bit in a lot of our roads. You know, we have rock going for a mile or two or three, and then there's a section of no rock, and then we start rocking again. I never did understand that
Is that,
at all.
is that an area where you, I mean, I'm not a Flint Hills guy, but is that an area that's, the rock is pretty much coming up out of the ground?
In that second hill to Enzies, yes, but
I've been on that road.
the one to, like, coming down from Dick's, it has a few, but not like going up over to, Jeff's. But I mean, it's
Yeah, 'cause
not
there's
bad,
quite a
there's
few-
been a lot
There's
of,
several hills in there, isn't there?
yeah.
Yeah, this is really hilly.
Okay, but wait a minute. This is where he's proposing to live.
Right.
And it's already rocked to that area.
No,
It's green or yellow.
that's just showing the bus route, how far they come up to and have to go back around.
Oh, that's the bus ride.
Yeah.
That's not showing already what's been rocked.
No.
But you said this was rocked for years and years.
Mhm.
It was a rock road.
And
but
I
nothing-
talked to Mr. Ham, and he said his data only goes back to 2005. Well, my grandpa passed away 16 years ago, and it was prior to that, so it's almost 20 years ago that it was, but it's just in the, it hasn't been because there hadn't been anybody living down there or anything.
Mhm.
And I mean, if you just do a rough figure of taxes that we pay, what they're gonna charge me for it, it would be like $714 a year in taxes. Well, with me moving in there, building, putting up a house and everything, you're gonna have that much more taxes off that property. And I don't think it's right at all.
Mhm.
I mean, I could see if it was access to a property that doesn't have a culvert in the middle of a pasture where you have to put electric and all that up, but it's a farmstead that has been there forever. Yes, it hasn't had a house on it because it was tore down, but it's had electric, it has a culvert to it. They don't have to put in a culvert, there's access to it. So I don't think it's classified as a new build completely.
And in your opinion, does it actually have to be rebuilt, or can you just rock it?
It needs to be rebuilt. 'Cause I mean, what has happened is that it's lost its crown and everything, and the ditches are full of the mud that's come up to the top. The ditches need to be pulled, and it needs to have a good base on it.
Well, that sounds like all of our roads.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying it needs to be rocked. I mean, literally when it's wet out, the only way you can get down is when it's dry. If it's mud, I mean, if it's any kind of wet out, there's a spot in it that you actually drive across down the hill from Mr. McClendon's, and there's a culvert there, and you're actually hitting the top of the culvert. When it gets muddy, you can feel you hitting the culvert.
So Jesse, is there any way that you can go in without doing a full rebuild and maybe just do minor repair to get this road, like he's saying, what I'm thinking about right now is not necessarily all the crowning and all that stuff. I'm just thinking of, he said the ditches are silted in and all that type of stuff. Is there any way that a blade man can just go in there and kind of, open those up a little bit with the drainage?
Well, yeah, I mean,
And then you could throw that dirt on the center of the, well, you should probably have a base there then, if it was
Well,
rocked at
there's
once.
not, it's just all washed out. There's no base. I mean, really, the ditches need to be pulled and
Okay, so then basically it probably does need
and
to be
take
rebuilt,
the
right?
stuff out of the ditches. Don't put it in the center because it's no kind of foundation for a base. It's mud.
Okay, but to make a base, you would need that dirt up on this, to crown it, you would need that dirt
Yeah.
up there.
However you want to go about it. I have different ways that I would go.
Okay, I guess he answered my question already,
Yeah,
Jesse.
well, I talked to
He answered
Jesse
my
and he explained that project's gonna need pretty much a total rebuild, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, it's just been, it used to be a rock road, and the house was knocked down, and, it's just something we quit rocking since there wasn't a home there anymore. And, yeah, it has some issues.
Well, I
that
mean, it
needs
was
to be rebuilt.
before your time. It was before your time that you've been here.
Correct, I understand.
It's, yeah.
And it's something that continues to this day when people no longer live or house gets torn down, we just no longer rock going further, to their homes and stuff is something we do even to now, so, what he's saying, I understand. I do know we've had some other cases where it used to be a rock road, used to have a home on it, and we've done it. The only big difference here is I'm looking at 9/10 of a mile for Mr. Nelson, when all these other cases that we've had have been 3/10 to a half a mile that we've had to do, you know. So we're almost looking at a full mile, so yeah, it gets to be a lot more pricey, so.
And I do know of a couple roads up in my area where people built new homes
Mhm.
and you did go in and we made them pay.
Yeah.
So I think to be consistent, I mean, we've done it. In fact, just last year, we had Hikes build a house down the road, and it was quite a distance. I don't know if it was a mile or not, but you.
3/4 of a mile.
Okay, so you went, and they paid for that.
Yeah.
And I know what our policy's always been then that the property owner, residence owner pays for the rock one time and then we pick it up from there.
And that's where there was a lot of confusion in the years past of that, or even before my time. And since the commission we have now, and that's one thing that has been staying very consistent, is the one time, and then we keep up the basis of it from there on out. So, you know, that's been kind of nice. I know what direction to go, but I understand it's a lot of money we're talking, and I'm just doing what we've done in the past. Last year we did a timber road going north of 140th. There's like 3 to 4/10 of a mile in there. That had utilities running out to that old place. The house had been torn down for quite a while. We cleaned out a lot of trees and did some ditch work, and they paid for that too as well. But once again, it was a lot shorter stretch. So.
I don't know how we could do some people and not the others. I think we have to be fair to everybody.
Well, I mean, it's a county road, we pay taxes for it, I understand the new build, the new zoning, it's to build more revenue on taxes and all that, but, I mean, it being a prior address where it had electricity, water, where the county should have maintained it, I mean, even if somebody, what if I don't build out there? I buy the place, I still have to have access to my farm. And it's a county road that's not, signed minimum maintenance. It doesn't say gravel. You can drive around the county, see minimum maintenance dirt roads. It's not signed like that. It's not say gravel ends here where it's not a minimum maintenance road.
But even a minimum maintenance road, understand, even at minimum maintenance, that requires 2 times a year of maintenance. That doesn't require rocking. That just means he has to take.
Yeah, and the grader goes up it.
Yeah.
I
you just have to
guarantee the
maintain it.
grader goes up it
Mhm.
20 times a year,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah. I
And
know.
there's people around there that travel, and the bus route has to go all the way out that different route to pick up ones in that same mile if you could go straight through.
I understand your dilemma. The only problem that I see personally is we would have to change our regulations and do the same thing to everybody thereafter. I mean, we can't just do, because we have a lot of people that sitting in there paid a lot of money to get rock to their roads because that's the location they chose to build their home.
I'm just wondering how good it is. I mean, it's not really a great investment if we just dump rock and not have a road that's being able to maintain.
Well, my thing is, if I move out there, pay the $10,000 to rock, I don't want any traffic from the east coming on that road because there's a half mile of mud that's going to come right on the same road that I just spent $10,000 of rock. I know they're going to maintain it, but it's just going to go back the way it was if you're carrying mud onto the new rock from the part that they're not going to rock. That's my complaint.
He is right at the intersection of 3 dirt roads. I will say that. I mean, he has a lot of farmers out in that area.
Yeah, they
Once
drive up
they're
and
gonna see
with
that
the-
rock, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Finally. Now, I'm not, I'm sure there's other situations like that where people are dealing with it.
So then will we end up rocking that all the way through then, once that starts? We'll about have to.
The only thing that I see, if you, I don't have my rock map with me, but one thing that's hurting us on the northeast corner, or the east side of the county, kind of going southeast of Marion here, is there's very few rock roads getting to a highway. And I know 170th is something I've looked at in the past, is 170th is kind of one of them roads that we need to maybe in the future look into rocking, maybe the whole thing, to give more residents the opportunity to have a little bit more gravel road.
It'll be like a highway. If you rock that road, it'll be like a highway, because everybody around there would use it.
20 or 30 years ago, that was a really good road. It really was. I mean, I used it a lot going that way. Because it keeps you from going all those dirt roads in between there. It's like about all the way.
Yeah.
Look at Pawnee Road south of Alney now. When it rains, it's just
Yeah.
mud, it's just ruts and potholes, and you can't hardly get through it. There's no rock left
Just
on
saying
it.
it was a really good road at one time.
It's a shame
Yeah.
that we left it go down. That was the fault of the county for letting it go down. You know, I've always been, I'm never in favor of closing roads, ever. I don't care what kind of road it is, because everybody uses every road all the time, for reasons, whatever. So I don't know why it was left to go down. If it was a nice rock road at one time, that was a poor decision.
Irregardless, we don't want to stymie any type of development when people want to move in, but we're also working under a policy that it really ties our hand, because if we do it for one person when we haven't done it for 5 others,
Well, we could change our policy and
that-
reimburse those
to
people.
me, that would be the only way that we could handle this
Mhm.
going forward, would be a policy change on that.
And we'd
Well, I
have to
think
reimburse
there
those
needs to be a
people.
policy change, because it's a gray area. It's not in detail of a residence or a new build. I mean, it's a new build permit. It doesn't state that if there was a residence there, that there's these guidelines. If it's a complete new build, there's these guidelines. The way I look at it, I mean,
Yeah, but even if we did that, we couldn't very well do that, because once you start making things so complicated, then we're gonna have people come in here and then we're gonna have to justify an old homestead versus a new build. It's still the same bottom line, and so I don't like those type of quagmires. I think we're either gonna have to have the policy of where somebody's gonna have to pay to build the first base, or we're gonna have to do away with it.
And a lot of times, a new build will go on to an existing, what was a homestead at one time, that probably never doesn't exist anymore, just because that's the logical place to put it if you own that piece of land. So,
So do you wanna make a work session or something to examine
well, I
that
think
policy?
we need to probably discuss this further, because, we've been operating under one way of doing it, but is that the right way?
Well, actually, we weren't, because I know when I first became a commissioner, it was case by case, is the old policy. It was always a case by case, and that always created a lot of problems, because in this case, this person got it, in that case, that person didn't, in this case, had a different situation, and that created a whole lot of problems, and so then we developed this policy, which is the same policy that Dixon County has. We mimic their policy. This is the way they do theirs, and so that we could unify. But if it's not gonna work for us, then we need to change it. And I know Morris County doesn't do that when they have people come in to build new homes or something. The county provides them roads, just to accommodate the family and to have people come in and move to the county. So, I think there's room to look at. But I think if we do that, then we're gonna have to somehow justify, something to the people in the last year at least that paid. I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, and
But
then,
that's a real kick in the teeth if we don't reimburse them people somehow.
or,
Yeah, that's within 2 miles of me, and that is a well-used road. It's just been let go to crack. hadn't been taken care of. All those roads over in there just been ignored.
Well, I know, and that's,
If he ever has children, he's gonna be a bus route, so you just will get used to it, you know.
yeah. I know it, well, it's an issue.
I mean, you can talk to the bus driver and how often he has to go around because of that road, the families that are already there.
Well, we did that just, last year, Ken? We did that up north someplace. I don't remember what road it was. Jesse, you remember what road it was? Up north where there was a whole mile that the bus had to go 3 miles around because of this 1 mile that was not rocked. And we went ahead and rocked it. There's nobody living on that road, but we rocked it to accommodate the bus route to get to that family.
The center area got
Yes.
approved by you three.
Yes, we did that to
There, you
accommodate.
can accommodate the bus route here. I'm not building a house.
Well, and the bus, I think the bus had, the bus driver had said something about that road, or somehow it was brought to our attention in that fashion, that there's, yeah. So, I mean, we do that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys try to work this bus route, but it's
Well, it's probably an issue that maybe we need to discuss further and see if we need to have a policy change or not. I don't know what your time frame is going forward.
I don't know now. I mean,
Can we put it
Just
on for
see.
next week sometime, I mean, we don't need to drag it out, this is a simple thing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it in a month.
no, I'm available and free, and I mean, my thing is, right now, coming into spring and everything, I cannot, when it gets wet, I cannot start with a build on a house or anything. I have to have this, I have to pay the money for the road before they'll even issue me a permit.
Okay, so we need to get it, can we go ahead and set a time?
Okay, we'll try to get this addressed.
Correct,
In the
Jesse? Isn't that the way
That's
it's
how it
stated?
works.
Yes.
People pay before we
Yeah.
do.
We'll try to expedite this thing as much as we can and see if it's feasible to do that and then create a new policy for going forward, I guess. Because we may be running, I think we're gonna have this issue, not just with you, for probably a few more days. What do you got?
How come they don't do like the cities do, put it on the property tax roll for the
Well,
specials?
it is, there's a milling tax.
When they do a
Yeah.
street, you know, in the new development, you got specials for 10 years that pays for the street and curbing.
I
I don't
don't
know
know
that
if ever people did that.
That's
But that would, if you
I
wanted
know-
to come
I
up
know
to
they do
$10,000 today, you
inside
could spread
city
it out
limits.
over 10 years.
We can consider that as well, I mean, I never knew that in rural areas, but we can certainly consider that,
Because they do it in towns all the time.
yeah. But that's different living in a town, but.
Well, not really. Going the road to a new house, he just lives farther off the road. Talking miles there, how many blocks in town?
I mean, is there that same issue if you build anywhere in Marion County? Doesn't mean, so in the city, they have to pay a certain amount for that pavement in front of them?
Mhm.
They
Yep.
do?
They say I paid $800 a month for the cement street in front of my house.
Yeah, anytime you get a newer development where the developer's putting in utilities and streets and
Which
curbs
is
and
only fair.
gutters.
I mean,
But
landlord-
isn't there such thing as like it's called a milling tax that we pay taxes every year that goes to maintenance on county roads and,
It's part of the budget, road and bridge budget.
That would fit into it. Something.
So,
Well, I think we need to probably address this. We're probably gonna have a few more of those issues
can I
going
keep
forward.
this?
if I could get a copy, yes.
Okay. It's fun, I wanna drive out and look at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for,
I'll try to get at least on the agenda for 2 weeks or so.
Wait till it gets about 40 degrees and then drive out on it.
I'm accustomed to that, I know better than to get on
we
those
won't make it
roads.
back to the meeting, is that what you're saying?
We have lots of roads up in our area that we know when we drive on, we know that.
All right, thank you. Corey.
Thank you.
Oh, is he gonna get his copy back?
Yeah, she's making, she had to go to
I'm
Treasury and
staying
get a
here for a
color
while.
copy, so when she
Okay.
gets it, then she'll come back.
Okay.
Okay, EMS, Travis, you available? Okay, go ahead, Travis. Looks like you've got some bids here.
Yeah, keep it pretty short here. I've got some bids for our copier, scanner, faxer. So, so the Dick's Business Machine is who we're currently using. I do have a note that Kyocera that he bid, the treasurer's office has one they're not real happy with. I did talk to the IT man, and he's a fan of the Savin, which you see there with CBS. And then our most expensive would be OPI. They're all pretty comparable. OPI being the slowest machine, and the Savin being in the middle through CBS. After looking at it, I guess my recommendation is that I would like to see us go with the Savin through CBS. It's a little more cost up front. With that, our previous machine made it 9 years. The cost difference because of the service agreement, in 7 years, it would work out even on the money. The CBS is a little cheaper on the service agreement. So, like I said, if it makes it like the other one did, and hopefully it does, the money side would be offset in 7 years. So that's currently what the clerk's office is using, is a Savin through CBS as well.
These fulfill everything you need them to do.
Believe that to be true, yes.
And this Savin comes out of CBS, which location?
Um,
Dealing with?
Abilene is who I've been talking to.
Okay. Just curious.
I think that's where the tech would come out of as necessary.
Okay,
I
that's
believe the
fine.
machine would probably come out of Salina, but
Okay, I have no problem with it, but,
Make a motion.
yeah, I'll make a motion to go ahead then and authorize, the EMS to purchase the Savin C307 at $25.95.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye.
And one other quick thing is the decals, the lettering coming off of the director's vehicle. I did check some local prices, but I found a place that's $400 cheaper to have it done. I'm gonna go ahead and get that moved forward. It's less than $1,000, so.
That's on the unit
The
you're putting.
director's vehicle mine, that's correct. So, make you aware of that, and then move along. So,
Okay, very good.
anything else?
Thank you,
All right,
Travis.
thank you.
Okay, is Lisa available?
She was right here. She snuck back out.
She's coming.
Okay.
She's making some copies. She'll be ready.
Just need to replace the printer that we talked about at budget time. And so I brought in the proposal, I'll just go over it real fast with you. Basically, we're just gonna replace the copier printer that's in our main office, with Conoco, which is who we're currently through in that, with that printer. The price to buy out is $5,021.47. And that is the lowest of the two options available. Basically, the given to it is we're gonna have like a, monthly service, which is pretty typical. This is a buyout, it won't be a lease. So the new average cost is gonna be around $75 a month, which before it's been about $324. So that's gonna save us quite a bit in upgrading also. Like I said, the other one, we have lease, but this one does not have that option. It is just strictly buyout, and then you have the monthly, which is what we currently have. The one we do have, they will take back, but they don't give us credit. So, it's up to you guys if you want to try to sell it to some other department or something. I don't have an opposition to that whatsoever. You just tell me what I need to do.
Does it
But
work at all? I mean,
it will work, just a lot of the functions are warped. It's been a number of years since we did purchase it, so definitely time for that upgrade. It's not working for us the way we need it to.
I think we should at least offer it to some place before we just throw it
No
away.
use, no use just giving them to them if there's any
I am
service
great
left
with
in
that.
it.
That's what I told her. I didn't like that, just take it back type thing, so
Yeah.
I'm great with that option.
Okay.
That's good to me.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've researched it, this does everything you need it to do.
This does everything. It's very comparable to what we currently have. It does the duplexing, it does the scanning, all the features that we currently use and need.
Where are these folks from?
Lisa is, I believe she was just out of Wichita, I thought
Okay.
is where she was from.
So that's where your service would come from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the price $5,123.47?
Pardon me?
Is this the price, the $5,123.47?
Yes, ma'am, on the model that we want to go with, yeah. Because the other one was higher, and it does a few more pages per minute. I don't think we need that. I think we can be patient a little.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion then to purchase the Konica Minolta printer for the Fraser's office in $5,123.47.
I'll second it.
Okay, and move to second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We've done the printers.
Great, thank you. The only, just for your information, value notices did go out Friday. So, you could get calls, please just send them down to our office, to the right, to the right people first. Just your little heads up there. And then also, just so you guys know, I put an article, and it ended up on the front page, but I put it in the paper. That was not exactly how it was written up. It was really supposed to be a nice reminder to everybody to make sure to sign their personal property renditions, and that statement got completely omitted. So, just so you guys are kind of aware that I did put something in the paper as a nice reminder, but it didn't really get put in how I submitted it. Not that it's a big deal, just want you to know that we did put something in there.
Which
and
paper?
Actually, it ended up on the front page of the record.
Okay.
And so it just wasn't quite verbatim on how I put it
Well, do
in.
you want to ask for a clarification then on that?
I just wanted you guys to be aware. Like I said, wrote it up. In fact, even Tina looked it over to make sure it sounded and looked good, and it did not come out quite how it was printed. But just wanted you to be aware of that. We'll try again next time.
We probably should get it fixed.
Fixed,
Corrected.
okay, because it just,
We're not.
Well, if it makes anything confusing,
yeah.
taxpayers, maybe
Yeah.
we need to.
Okay, well, we'll just try a second run at it and have them put it in just
And maybe they would do
verbatim.
that without charge.
They
Okay,
should.
yeah. Well, I just wanted you all to be
Just saying
aware of
no.
it. Just wanted you guys to
She
kind of be
says
aware
no,
of
it
it.
won't be put in at no charge. You want to have her explain?
It was an article.
It was just sent over, yeah,
Press release.
it was just, yeah, I didn't do it as a letter
And
to an
Eric
editor.
changes everything that you send to her. That's how they
Okay, well, what do I need to do in the future for it to not be put in like that?
Well, if that's the policy that he changes whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Well, I'll bite my tongue.
It's up to you. I
Well,
mean, like I said, I put it in just as a gentle reminder. The place that I really wanted it to be reminded of did not get put in, but, I mean, most people know they need to file their renditions.
So,
It was more of a public
I
relations.
have a question. Even though the Marion Record is our official newspaper, are we limited to just that? Or can we put in both of them?
You're never limited.
Okay. So we can put it in both papers.
Okay, okay. I'll resubmit it if they wanna put it in how I put it, great. If they don't, then they'll just
At no charge.
put it, yeah, we'll just let it go. I just wanted you
We'll
guys
leave
to
it
be
up to
aware.
your discretion. If you feel like it was something that really needs to be clarified, you do what you need to do.
Okay,
Otherwise,
I just wanted
You're in
you guys
charge.
to be aware of it. In case you got phone calls, I just want you to know that wasn't exactly how it was stated. Just kinda giving you a heads up.
Okay.
All right, that's
Thank
all.
you, Lisa.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'll have a copy of it.
there it is. Isaac here yet? Hello, Isaac.
Hello, Isaac.
How's it going today?
We're a little early, but you're here, so we'll let you go ahead.
All right. All I had is I found out the information. This was actually printed across the street at the Marion Record. So we went through and just made some updates on it. The fishing license has changed. It used to be once you were 64, you didn't have to get it. Now it's 74, along with all the fishing creel limits and everything. The only other change we had was the cell phone number to get a hold of somebody to unlock the museum needs updated. The number that's on here is no longer valid. And then the one last thing I had for changes was, and you can look at this here, I have it highlighted at the top. It was about the motorized scooters and ATVs. Just to see if that's something the commission would be interested in, is opening up those inside roads to the four-wheel side-by-sides for people to drive down to their docks and fish with. Right now, they're not allowed to. They can drive around Lake Shore, but that's it. We were kind of thinking the idea is if we wanted to, we could do it like just like the county boat permits. If you were a county lake resident or a Marion County resident, you could come to the office, get a permit,
Right.
put it on the side-by-side, and go about it that way. If it was something that we'd be interested in doing.
Well, I know you see more and more of those, especially those side-by-sides, and I think it would be proper to, permit it just like a boat.
Right. And that would allow them to drive on the gravel roads on the inside. And I know I was looking in some of the past paperwork, I know they did like a 6-month probation period. And one time they were talking about allowing houseboats on the lake, just to kind of see how it went. And I don't know if that'd be something you'd want to do.
Houseboats?
Yeah, this was a long time ago. This was like 2013, I think it was.
Yeah, that's the reason it wasn't.
I think that's why it was brought up.
Yeah, I think that it's
Yeah.
I don't
not.
think you want to be a houseboat. Next thing you did, and they want a permit to live on it.
Yep. Yeah. No, it was brought up. Like I said, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, and they did, I think, agree on. It was like a probationary year to see, because they weren't sure how it would go.
Also on the motorized vehicle, shouldn't it be a licensed driver?
Yes.
I mean, no 10-year-old kid running a
Yes.
side-by-side.
And that was one of the problems that was brought up this past
Right.
summer, is that there were a couple times that was
Underage.
happening. Yeah, and people riding in the buckets of them and stuff like that. And I got multiple calls about it, and they're just, there wasn't a whole lot of.
We need to tie that up.
Yeah, and that's kind of, because like you said, there's just more and more of them out there. I mean, it's not uncommon for me on a summer day to see 3 or 4 driving around. And right now they're fine around Lake Shore. It's just everything on the inside. And I've had people come up and talk about, well, can you just drive down my dock and take my fishing poles and everything in it. And the way the rule states right now, they're technically not allowed to do.
So you're saying it would have to be driven by a licensed driver?
Yeah. Yes.
That was his question.
Yes.
Okay, and then will you make sure that they meet all the safety requirements?
Well, and so that was something that I was looking into, because right now the city of Marion has a rule where you can go and you can get it. It's checked out, I believe, by an officer, and they go over it and make sure everything is okay. And they are legal to drive that on any city road except Main Street. They're allowed to cross Main Street but not drive up and down Main Street. And I was going to see if maybe we could work something out where we kind of do the same thing, where they are inspected and everything's cleared and they get the okay, and then we can go ahead and do the permit. That's kind of what I was thinking. So like you said, you know, 'cause like the four-wheelers and that kind of thing, I was going to try to keep that the same where they necessarily weren't, but those side-by-sides, you know, they have seat belts and all that stuff, and as long as they're checked and cleared and okay, then it should be okay to drive.
Probably need to have legal exhaust,
Very well could be.
because you uncap them, they get pretty loud.
Yeah, right, right.
I think the bigger thing in the city, you gotta have lights and
Yes.
brake lights and things like
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just, Marion permit to work out the county road.
And that's what I wanted
I
to,
mean, you
yeah,
guys wanna work together.
yes,
Yeah, I was gonna
One
say,
thing
if you
that
could
just-
maybe dovetail some kind of
okay,
program,
okay.
but yeah, we
Let
would,
the city police do the inspection.
Inspection, yeah,
Get that off the
exactly.
back.
yeah, that would be a good thing. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, if they can just provide something that says that it's been inspected. And
Right,
so-
and I was gonna talk with them about that and see, cause that's kind of what we were talking about, is that they could get it inspected the same as the cities were.
So would you charge them the same as a boat permit then?
Well, and that's, cause right now, the way the boat permit is, it's depending on the motor size.
Oh, that's right.
And so, you know, what we were originally thinking was just a flat fee for all of them, yeah. We could do it by motor size, but,
No, no, that'd
yeah,
be
yeah.
difficult. I would say that'd probably be more of a flat.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were thinking that too.
I think it's wise to do that.
Okay, and I can talk with city police and kind of get some details on that and see what we can come up with. But I just wanted to get this updated.
So how much time you gonna need to get that printed, because you're gonna get into the springtime?
I know, and that's kind of what I was thinking. So I was probably gonna go over there and maybe talk to them as soon as I got out of here, and because I'm trying to get it done.
And
then,
I wonder if you guys need to adopt a resolution
And
to
that's what I was
allow that
thinking.
out there, so.
and just get a rule actually written up, and once all the
So
details.
can we direct Brad to draft a resolution?
Yeah, if the board wants to proceed.
Yeah, but should we get the details of the clerk of everything?
We could draft a basic resolution, and then when Isaac, if you can follow up like right away
Yep.
by
Yeah,
next
I can
week
do
with
that.
the particulars.
That's something we could have fun next week. Okay. Oh, that's Brad here. Okay, we'll try to move along with that.
Okay, and then the only other thing I had is, I got a call from a gentleman named Harold Geiser, who is a ice cream vendor out of, I believe he lives in McPherson. And throughout the summer, he has a mobile ice cream truck. And I think he goes to Harvey Lake East, West, and I think he said there's a lake there in McPherson he visits. And he asked me if it would be possible on the weekends throughout the summer to come out with his mobile ice cream truck and kind of drive around and maybe park it by the swimming area, by the lake hall. He said one of the lakes, you know, he has a monthly fee that he pays them to be allowed to do that. And he just asked if it would be a possibility. I told him I'd come and talk to the commission about it and give him a call back.
I think ice cream would be cool out there. Yeah. I think it would be neat.
Do we wanna charge them a permit though?
And-
Because you got other issues too then with, food truck vendors.
Right. And I know, you know, the only other food truck vendors that I know of that ever come out there is for our Bluegrass Festival, and we do charge them a fee to come out.
You do,
Yes,
okay.
yeah. It's just this, I think what we did in the past was a $75 weekend fee. They come and park the vehicle and run their shop out of there. But if that is something,
So is that something that could dovetail with a ice cream vendor that his one-time fee would pay for the summer then?
and that's kind of,
Do the guys that come from Bluegrass, do you provide the electricity?
we do. Yes, we do.
So that's part of the fee, or is it in addition to the fee?
That is part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't
Because if
pay
he's
for that on
mobile, you
top of
wouldn't
it.
be provided.
Right, yeah,
electricity.
it's just a,
Okay, just one at a time. Going.
Do they sell, charge a sales tax?
that is a good question, and I'm not sure. I haven't really talked to him much in details at all. He just called me and brought up the idea.
For your other vendor that you're talking about, do they
For
charge
the
sales?
Bluegrass Festival?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they do.
So if they do well, we do well.
Yeah.
Chinko was to charge $100 for vendors
For the weekend?
per weekend.
Okay.
And so 75, 100, people used to paying that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he already brought it up, so he knows he's already paying.
So, did you check around the price on printing that?
I haven't.
Are you-
I was trying to figure out where it came from because our
Oh.
box had Hope Publishing.
I see.
And I was trying to figure out where it came from and who did it. And I ended up just going down to the records and asking.
And how many of those would you have to produce?
The last box we had, I believe, was a box of 500. Now, I don't know how many boxes they had before the one that, because when last March, we had one box in there, and it was about full.
Might do well to get prices from several printers.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I can
think
do
so.
that, yeah. Yeah, I think that's what, I don't know if they ordered 500 at a time, or if they ordered more and just got that one box. I don't know that.
Well,
It'd be good to ask, if you can,
Right.
you don't want so
Price
many of them that they
differences.
get
Right,
outdated.
yeah,
on
and,
quality,
yeah.
on quantity, I mean.
Okay. And yeah, as far as that goes, that's the two things I had for today.
Okay. You have enough direction on where to go then?
Yeah, on that vendors charging something we'd wanna do, and if so, would we wanna do it by weekend or just for the summer? Or do you guys have any opinion on that?
Somebody like an ice cream vendor, probably, in my opinion, if you charged him one time.
Yeah.
Now, whatever that is, I don't know.
Right, right,
If it's 75, 100,
right.
otherwise he may say, well, I'll just go out
Right, and
a couple times.
You're like a fishing commit, it's good for
Yeah.
a year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might get the snow cone guy to come out there too.
There might be others that want to go.
Might be a hot spot. Tourism.
Henry?
I've got a question about sales tax. When I had my restaurant, I paid sales tax to the state. Does the state then pay the county?
Yes.
That's how that works, because I never had to write a check to the county.
No, the state's in charge of distributing that to all the entities.
It all flows that direction. Okay. Thanks, Isaac.
Yep, and I'll talk to the city police, and I'll try to get back on the meeting next Monday and try to
Okay.
get all those details back
All right.
to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bud, with us yet?
Like that is because,
Is Bud out there?
we're all around, and it's like different sales tax areas. So I give it all to the state. They separate it, so it's one check for me, but then they write 12, 13 different checks.
I just wondered how that works. They never file any one check to the state.
So it depends on where the point of sale is.
Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So first thing I've got is you guys discussed the HVAC change order 2 weeks ago. I have the official change order here if you guys are going to accept it.
Okay.
And I've got copy. That's the original with the blue ink for the agreement date. Otherwise, I've got copies if you need that.
That's the change order there.
Oh, I see.
That's the change order we requested on the HVAC.
Okay. Okay.
I think this is the one that the contractor proposed, isn't that right? And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Cobb
this
Valley
was
was
more-
not in favor of
I,
it
and that's,
necessarily.
yeah, I guess we're more neutral than in favor, is what I tell you, is why we didn't sign it as recommended. The mechanical engineer kinda said, you know, he didn't really see the point other than the cost savings. So that's where we feel, I'm not telling you we're against it, I tell you we're pretty neutral on the subject, we're leaving it up to you guys if you're, sounded like from the conversation, like you guys are pretty in favor of going forward with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, this is a change order number 2, an original contract price for $297,002.15 changes the new contract price to $294,152 with the change order. So, do we have to adopt anything, or do we just sign it?
No, you need to actually take action to approve it if you want to make that change.
Each change order requires
Yes.
that, okay. I'm gonna make a motion to approve change number 00430, order number 002, on regards to the transfer station and office building, which changes the contract price from $297,002.15 to $294,152.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I need to sign this?
Yes.
Accepted, on the accepted by?
Yes.
yeah.
Morning, bud.
Then moving forward, I guess though, I told you I'd come back when I heard word from KDHE Friday afternoon. Yeah, KDHE, EPA was what was coming to mind, but KDHE. KDHE contacted me, we did a site visit, with them last Monday. And, the field rep said that he was gonna have to, defer, he was out of Salina office, he was gonna have to defer to Topeka because there were no ground tanks found, so we didn't, the source of the contamination is not exactly known. And so because of that, it kind of falls into another category, on their part. Which I thought I'd received in writing by now, but his statement to me on the phone, was that no further action for the construction site would be needed. So we don't need to remove any more material. What we did is acceptable, and the fill material sitting there can be used and put back in the hole as soon as weather cooperates, obviously. But the soil that has been stockpiled is considered contaminated and therefore cannot be put back in the hole, which we weren't going to really want you to use it for backfill very much. Around the outside of the building, grass areas, it would have been acceptable, but not underneath the building pad anyway. So what his recommendation to us, there's a couple options, but one option would be to haul off to a designated landfill site, which I believe, based on your understanding, would have been where you guys haul to anyway. But then the other option is to do land farm, which would be to haul the material to ground that's meets their recommendations, which is outside of a floodplain in essence. Spread the material thin, 8 to 6 inches thick, and you'd have to disc it or agitate it once a month. And he said 3 to 6 months it would probably be acceptable to use for whatever you'd want to use it for.
And the South Chop would work for that.
Yeah, and we'd have a way of agitating it too.
And we'd have a way of hauling it out there ourselves.
So that was where,
Be a big cost savings.
Yes, yes it would.
exactly.
Yes,
Otherwise, you're hauling it to El Rio.
yeah, and they charge us $65 a ton to get rid of it.
Yeah, and how many tons you talking about?
350.
Currently, yeah,
Something like that.
the-
But I mean,
Yeah.
even if we don't use the dirt, Road and Bridge can use it after we get it cleaned up for cover material and stuff. The dirt can be used.
if it really only takes 3 to 6 months, if we move on that as soon as the weather breaks on nicer, we may need it for the next phase.
Yes.
For backfill out around the building. There's gonna be a lot of incidental groundwork that's gonna be done to keep drainage acceptable, that kind of stuff. So that's the one trick with that is almost no matter what, there's gonna be upfront testing, additional testing that needs to be done on something that they didn't check to see if it's a contaminant. It's more of a, what's the suitability of the soil test that they're gonna require. And that's supposed to be in the email. It's conditions I'm not I'm not used to, so it's something about IPMs or something. But there'll be additional testing that needs to be done before it's spread out and then after. So there'll be more of, I have a copy of our PACE bill for the testing that's already been done.
What's that cost?
The original bill was $800.
That was for the lab testing, independent lab testing.
Yes, yep.
So we're probably looking at another 1,600.
Yeah, give or take. It depends. They may let us only get away with one, which would lessen this one test because it's all now, we've determined where the contaminant is, and so, but yes, that will be associated, just to let you know with that process. So that's kind of where we sit with it. KDHG has said we can move forward. I guess part of this is to make sure you guys are still on board with the moving forward. To help you make that decision, I have our total, what we've been calling T&M, time and materials charges to date. Our contractor has given me an itemized bill that we agree with, which is $11,844, and our time, Call Valley's time and fees, along with the PACE laboratory, is $4,025. It's a total of $15,896.25. The trick is, I tell you, we're still not totally done. The contractor's going to add to his bill for the placement of the material on site, and we're going to still have an inspector on site while that comes back in. So I guess I would tell you, my guess would be we would be at just shy of $20,000 when this is all completed for the extra work.
And most of that, other than the initial dirt work's almost outside our budget at this point. And we're just getting started. What's our chances of hitting contaminated soil again once we start getting into the
So that was addressed by KHE, and pretty much on the phone conversation, the understanding was that as we come across more soil, we assumed the contaminants would be the same, but there would be some testing we would have to do, and contaminated soil that's disturbed and moved out of place would have to be hauled land farmed and then could be used for whatever the county addresses at that point. So, but yeah, I would tell you your assumption's right. There will be, we will be removing more soil when we go to the next phase. It's inevitable, I would think at this point. So, as long as the contaminant level keeps coming back at the same levels, land farm it, and then the county can use it as they want.
That's not what concerns me as much as the cost per ton to get that stuff right. Even though we're not hauling it all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the added cost of this project would get to be substantial.
I would tell you this portion was close to 10% added to it. But I mean, we were talking 250,000 for this, and we're at about 20,000. I would tell you that on the next phase, a lot of Call Valley's time, we were planning on having a guy there full time anyway, knowing that heavy demolition like we're expecting requires that. So some of those fees would be, we've already estimated to you. Yeah, we're more on pace of the contractor be set up more. He's going to be prepared to tear out whatever we're going to tear out. So there some
what
of the
you're saying
fees.
is our engineering fees aren't going to escalate greatly.
No, should not. I would tell you that assuming 10% onto the next phase, I would think would be a high guess, even though this timing and we would know it's coming. But that being said, you have a test that spikes high. There's a lot of unknowns in that statement. So.
Yep. I don't think we have much choice but to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think this was about best case scenario from KDHE that, honestly, it was better news than I was ever expecting from them. Kind of seems like the contaminant was localized. I'm hoping we don't run across a lot more in the next phase, but who knows what's going on this job.
No
on this
guarantee,
side.
that's for sure.
No,
Not for
absolutely
what it
not.
was, that's for sure.
Does anybody want a copy of, it's kind of rough, I've got what the contractor stated he's done so far, and then I just threw our hours onto a
So
sheet.
is that the actual billing to us, or
No.
that's not been put together yet?
No. But
I
I
wouldn't
figure
worry about
all
it.
time and materials will be one fee at, when we're done, when the contractors place the material and our inspection time is done. That's all, those are the two things that we're waiting on.
Randy, I'd put that in our file. If
You would?
Yeah, I would.
Nope, that's
Okay.
kind of why I compiled a few, just so you guys have got something to look at, see where we're sitting. Same thing with, you want the PACE lab, just so you guys have
Yeah.
a copy of the results from from the lab that KDHE used. I believe at this time, that's all I have. The contractor is wanting and putting together a change order for the overhead doors. I've requested some additional information to hopefully make your guys' decision easy. That'll be coming, so.
I know, I brought it to you at one time, and I talked to Randy, and I said, we need to make sure it's gonna work completely.
Yeah.
You know, cause you and I went through that at the pre-con.
Right.
Yep. So I've asked him to put together a full plan.
Okay.
We'll have that going forward.
All right. Thank you.
That's all for me.
What you got, bud?
I've got, chemical bids for the, unless you wanna stay on, let's stay on transfer station.
Okay.
We are running out of places to take our used tires.
Your what?
Used tires,
Used
the
tires.
tires we got coming in. We can't take them directly to the landfill without them being chopped. Okay, I've been doing a little bit of experimenting and stuff, and I found out that you can take a tree shear that you put on the front of a Bobcat, and you can cut tires that way. I found one up at Kansas, up in between Beloit and Concordia.
One of those scissors type?
Yeah, you can cut tires with one of them.
How much do they have to be cut down?
A car tire has to be quartered,
Quarter.
and so then your bigger tires have to be that same size. And then we can haul them down to Butler County, and it costs the same amount as what we pay to get rid of our trash, the $36, $37 a ton. So,
How often would you use it?
whenever we get tires in. I mean, we're sitting there right now with half a bin full of tires, and just so you know, in 2016 we spent about $1,800 getting rid of tires. In 2017 we spent $3,500 getting rid of tires. In 2018 we spent $2,300 getting rid of tires. That's a total of $7,566, and we can buy one of these for $3,800.
But that was when they were taking the tires?
That's when we was taking them to
What
where
you're
we
saying
could
is
get
they
rid of
won't
them.
do that anymore.
No,
There-
he was taking it, there was a different facility that they were using
Yeah,
for tires.
we weren't using the landfill. We were taking them to a place where they'd cut them up and then haul them
I see.
for us. So that's pretty much going out of business. Everybody's getting so full of tires anymore, and they have no place to take them. I got on KDHE's website and checked out, and nobody. I've made phone call after phone call that's close to us without going a zillion miles, you know. And everybody's full. They'd love to help us out, but they're full on their own tires. So this is something that we can do, and it's simplifies our process. When the tires come in, we can chop them up and throw them in the bin, and then when the bin gets full, we just take it right down to the landfill, just like we're hauling off our trash. You know, and it costs us the same as what our trash
Can I
is.
see that?
Yeah.
Is that a new, is that a new?
That's a
unit?
new one. That's a
new
new,
one?
new unit. The one up
Oh,
in the
it's
middle.
like a change.
No, up in the middle
Oh,
there.
up,
The middle one.
this.
Yeah, that one there.
Okay.
I was gonna
It's-
say,
it's
I
a
just
single-
go buy a chainsaw and cut
Yeah,
that thing
right.
up.
No,
You can't do it with a chainsaw.
Too much wire.
So this is
yeah,
the new
too much
one.
wire.
And, it's hard to figure out, but.
Well, just that comes back and then it just,
It's,
Oh, there's
it's like
it's like a
this.
scissors right
Diane.
yeah,
there.
scissors.
It's
thing.
like this.
Okay.
It's got a one deal, and you can turn it sideways or you can turn it straight up and down.
Okay, now, right now it's.
Yeah, yeah, and it swivels 90 degrees.
Okay.
And we've got the Bobcats to put it on.
So do we need to get a bid on something like that?
Well, that's the only one I've found like that.
$38.95. I mean, there's several companies that sell those.
Yeah, but I don't know. Bobcat sells one too. We've got one we're trying right now. It's not the greatest because it's the double.
Used to be an outfit, and I think Lindsberg sold them. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've been looking all over the website for them, so I mean, I can try to find more prices.
Yeah, because I think we, you know, for that kind of money, we need to see if we can get a bid on one.
I mean, I'll try and see if I can find different places.
So you
that's
said
got
you
it.
have one that goes this way,
It's,
it's not working?
it's double. It's got two blades that go together, and it's a used one, and it's working, but we don't want to do any tweaking on it because it's not our machine, you know. We can make it work better for us, but we're not going to do anything to it because it's not ours. We're just, you know, trying it out. So it is cutting the tires.
Is that road bridges?
No, it's ours. I mean, we got it from White Star. So they're letting us use it, so.
Oh, you
Yeah.
just, okay.
Yeah,
So you
no.
said you searched around pretty hard and this is what you come up with so far?
Yeah, that's the cheapest one I've found so far.
Ah, I
Yeah.
see. Okay.
All the other ones are running around $10,000, so. That's like the one we're
That might not
trying
be a
right.
bad buy then.
Well, you might check around and then bring it back to us.
Okay,
and
I'll
figure
do
out
that.
If that's what we're gonna have to do, we'll just do it, I guess.
I'll do that. So, okay. And then I've got chemical bids for weed department.
But do you have a lot of information, or do you have information or anything like on the dike
The
canvas?
canvas?
Yeah,
Well, I just-
just the hazards and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, I've got all of it up there today.
I'd like to have some copies of it.
Okay.
Okay, well, we've got two bids.
Yep.
One's from CPS and one from Van Dyke, and I think they are our normal, regular bidders, aren't they?
Yep, I contacted all of these people, and those are the only two that answered back to me, so.
And this is a buy all?
No.
You can separate 'em
You
out.
can separate it out, yes,
Okay,
yes.
so to go through and actually pick, okay,
Right.
all right.
Yeah, that would be the best thing to do. I mean, I wasn't gonna do it for you, I'd just let you guys.
I don't know
look
why
at
you
it.
wouldn't do it for us.
Well, I think.
Yeah,
They're the same.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do?
Well, then you kinda look to see who's got the most, and you give the other guy,
Okay.
if you.
Yeah,
what-
I see
what
what you're
it is.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, it's almost in my, yeah, 4 to 1 and 5 to the other, but I come up with, is that what you come up with there, Kent?
Well, we
I
got,
come up with 5 to Van Dyst and 4 to CPS.
I got 6 here
Well,
for Van
Yeah.
Dyke.
Okay,
Six.
so you're gonna go ahead and give that, the one that's the same to him.
No, you've got 6,
One, two,
you've got
three.
the amine to Van Dyst, you've got the low volt to Van Dyst,
Right, and then I jumped down to the glyphosate.
Glyphosate is Van
Yeah.
Dyce, and then the
Escort XP.
both of them.
Yeah.
I've got two. I've got 16 ounce
Okay,
bottles
so
and a
that's
half.
5.
Yeah, and then the
So you wanna give them the milestone? It's the same as CPS.
Okay, yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
I
was
got
my
you.
question.
So we got 5 with CPS and
3.
6 with Van Dyke?
You got 4 with C,
No, 5. You got 5 with Van Dyke and you got 5 with CPS.
I guess I'm not following them, I guess.
Well,
I got 5 there, but,
CPS, and then CPS. If, you know, if we wanna even it out,
oh,
I
okay,
moved-
okay, so that was my question.
Yeah.
Are we gonna give this, that's what we're gonna make
Yeah.
5 and 5.
Are you
And
evening
then-
it out by dollars or by
He's
items?
just, he's evening it out by
I'm
items.
just doing it by items,
Doing
but,
it by items, that was
but
my
being that
question.
Van Dyke has the big one on 240.
Yeah, that,
I don't care, that's
It doesn't
the
matter
same
to me
thing.
who you wanna get the milestone from,
I
they're both
don't
the
care.
same.
Okay.
all seem high.
We're not gonna
See,
do
I-
that.
no, it don't matter whichever one you guys want to do. They're both reputable. I mean,
Well,
Yeah, I
it's the
get
same
along with
product,
both of
same price.
yeah. If you can make it even, you know, let's do it that way.
I didn't add it up, but
So. Right.
Well,
Well,
it wouldn't add up.
It's
because
not
one
gonna
is
add up
less.
dollar wise.
No.
It's just, you know, they got the low bid on these and they got the low bid on
So
these.
then you have, if I'm not mistaken, Kent, you're like I am with, the 2,4-D mine is Van Dyst,
Yeah.
the low vol is Van Dyst.
Yeah.
And then you also have the glyphosate as Van
Right.
Dyst, and the Escort,
right?
Escort,
Yep.
and that's it. And then
Yep.
the others go to CPS, am I right? Those you have?
Was that your motion?
It can be. Yes, you
Okay.
read my mind.
Diana's made the motion on the breakout of the different products, the CPS and Van Dyke, which we're taking the low bid on 11 different products here. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Did you have more?
Yeah, I've got one. Thank you.
All right, that pretty much takes care of what I needed to do, and I'll get back with you on this.
Okay.
See if I can find some bids on it, and then I'll come back and talk to you.
Okay.
Because we
Thank
need to
you.
do
Thank you,
something.
gentlemen.
Yes, we need to do something because the tire situation is not gonna disappear for us, it's gonna get worse.
Tell them to quit spinning their tires.
Well, I wish. Okay?
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Well, we are 15 minutes ahead of schedule. I don't know if Mr. Hughes is here or not.
You want to road and bridge out? Or,
Let's do
okay,
I
so I'll see if Jesse can.
agreement here with county commission for, is that boring?
Yes.
Boring of fiber optics with Tri-County Telephone at 320th
And limestone.
and Limestone. It'll be out in your area.
Mhm.
Okay. So I make a motion to go ahead and approve that permit,
I'll
use the
second
right
it.
of way.
I'll second it.
You second it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
You'll
Did you
need to
sign
sign the second.
This is our copy of the sign. Oh, road and bridge superintendent?
Next, there's
Okay.
another one too.
Thank you.
The other thing I had was the crushed concrete. Are we wanting to pursue that with that contractor? They're needing answers from me whether I wanna get that or not. Or that concrete, and then we would have it crushed later if we've hired a crushing company.
But KDOT did agree to let it be stockpiled on their
On theirs,
property.
at the intersection of Lost Springs, 340th and 77
Is
Highway.
there any time duration?
They showed 3 years.
3 years.
KDOT did.
And was there a charge?
No,
So they'll just store it for us.
correct, as long as we got it out in 3 years.
think we could certainly utilize it for something.
Are you still considering using it for base, or are you using it for other stuff?
I can use it for a lot of patching, if we don't wanna use it for base.
And we've got a better way of getting the metal out than some of the stories we hear.
Well, yeah, there's some guys contractors that use mini magnets, and some of them are more conscientious than others. Some don't. I think you gotta be very careful of who you hire to do it too, so.
So one other question, is the price still the same, $7 or $8 a ton?
Yes, that's all I
to
keep
crunch?
getting quoted on.
Okay, so, and we're paying, what about the hauling? Are they charging any hauling to take it any place? We're not
No,
paying any
because it's
hauling?
right on their construction site, so there's no hauling, it's just us taking it out of the lot after it's crushed.
Okay, so do you think that, that price, that would be a good buy versus just buying
As
rock?
far as what I'm looking at, 2-inch minus, I'm paying $10.71 or more for 2-inch rock for base products.
So you're gonna get it crushed down to 2-inch?
Yeah, somewhere around 2-inch, 3-inch minus, 2-inch minus. I still
And
don't
what
have
was
the
it- what is
gradation figured out yet, but that's what I'm circling around.
And what's approximate crush price?
About $10.71 a ton, or crush, $7-8 a ton is
What they charge?
is a quote of what they would charge, what it would be for us to pay for crushed concrete. Now, as far as if I go with a limestone 2-inch rock, is what I'm paying is $10.71 a ton right now. So, that's where I'm trying to show you a little bit of comparison of what we're paying now. And then if we
We're right back up to what our rock's calling it.
Yes,
costing
pretty
us.
much. We're not saving a whole lot unless, so I thought if you had some bridge project or something you're gonna use it for or something else, but
Lot
that's
of-
a lot of cement to just have stored,
I know.
since there's not a huge savings there.
And that's why I said last week is I have our own concrete pile we're making into, it's a small hill now, but it keeps getting more and more
You
added to
ever
it.
utilize any of that stuff uncrushed for like washout?
Yeah, we have to cut the exposed rebar and stuff, because we got caught by the state by putting that stuff in, and there's metal sticking out. So we spend time cutting some of that off.
Yeah.
And then
So there's
putting that in
cost.
washout areas, but we also have rock made up of our own out the south shop that we use for riprap as well. So I got plenty of that for washout situations.
Well, in your opinion, do we want it or we don't?
I'm a little bit nervous about this amount off the highway. If we would like to, I would like to start with a smaller pile that in the future here, I'd like to concentrate on the concrete pile we already have at our south yard. It's centrally located right now. I feel that we're gonna have more opportunities next year and the following year with that. They're already preparing fall bids for the other concrete stretch, another 3-mile stretch next year along Highway 77, which comes closer to Lincolnville. So I'm just saying, I think there's gonna be other opportunities. At this time, I'm thinking, let's experiment with what we got here, and we know there's future stuff coming up.
Okay.
And
Let's
just-
let it,
Yeah, let it go.
in my opinion, what's yours? Let it go.
Let it go.
And that's all I had for you two today.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Jason.
everyone.
Okay. It's not quite 10:45, but I think Mr. Hughes is here, so we'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Pat.
Come on up.
Go into an executive session.
That's what you're asking for, isn't it? Attorney-client? And how much time?
I want you to start with 20 minutes.
Okay.
20 minutes.
What is the topic of the,
This is attorney-client privilege communication concerning potential, what do you
we need to know what the topic, is it potential litigation, or is it, so that's not,
it is not potential litigation, it is concerning the administrative process
okay.
to use in zoning.
Okay, so that's something going to executive session?
Yeah.
good. Perfect. I don't think.
So can we have Pat come back? Do we need to make another, meeting
Yeah,
with Pat?
Yeah, we can get him to come back.
So I wanna do that. Can we?
Do you want, I'll check right now, I won't be available next week. Let me over here.
We could have a special meeting, I guess.
Can we have a?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We'll just direct
schedule
Tina,
that.
Tina
We'll
can schedule
schedule
that with you
Okay.
and then verify it with us.
Okay.
We'll do a special as soon as we
Okay.
can.
Okay. Okay, that was the final thing on the agenda. Any citizen concern? If not, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Diane, all in favor? Aye.